Patch 7 for Baldur's Gate 3 Early Access is coming to an end, and I thought this would be a good time to look back and reflect on what was brought to us in this patch, and also take the opportunity for a quick look forwards to Patch 8 as well. There were many changes made in Patch 7, and there are far too many to go over in a single video, so I will focus on some of the larger changes to the game. First of all, we had a new class introduced to us, Barbarians. While the base class is mechanically very similar to D&D 5th edition, we did get some homebrew for both subclasses. The Berserker is mostly the same as its tabletop counterpart, except for the important fact that there is no downside to using Frenzy, whereas in 5th edition you gain a level of exhaustion every time you use it. While one level of exhaustion is manageable, the character has disadvantage on ability checks. From 2 levels of exhaustion onwards, things get messy very quickly indeed. As a consequence, it is rare to come across a Berserker Barbarian when playing D&D, but in Baldur's Gate 3 they have been given a new lease of life. Berserkers are now arguably one of the best martial characters in early access, and I have a great love for them. The second subclass, Wildheart as it is called, is a buffed version of the Path of the Totem Warrior from 5th edition. Larian added a 4th choice to the Bear, Eagle and Wolf, and gave us the Elkheart as well. Each of these choices also got an extra ability compared to D&D, so much like the Berserker, we are playing a buffed version of the source material. I have found the different Wildheart Barbarians fun to play, and they add a unique dynamic to any group they are a part of. One mechanic that has changed, and I'd say is pertinent to Barbarians, is the throwing mechanic. It is possible to throw not only items but enemies as well, but this time the weight of the items or creature being thrown actually matters. Back in March 2021, it was possible to throw just about anyone as a bear a very long way. Although I don't throw enemies all that often, it is a great addition for any character with a high strength. Having seen how Larian handled the Barbarian, it does make me wonder whether the remaining classes will get similar treatment, and I imagine the 5e enthusiasts out there would likely agree that other classes would benefit from this. It also raises the question whether they are finished with the current classes, and if they are going to go back and update them. With many subclasses left to be released, especially for Wizards and the Cleric, it's not a far-fetched thought that we might be in for a few surprises. Overall, I'm happy with the changes, and I've been having lots of fun with the Barbarian, although I'd venture that the 5e purists out there wouldn't be quite so happy. The other major change has been the user interface, which received a massive overhaul. We now have our abilities and items split up into different sections, while still being able to customize it. The whole layout changed, with some things being moved, such as the end turn button, although I have to admit I rarely press it and use the spacebar instead anyway. The turn order now runs across the top of the screen, and the minimap also received a makeover. From my understanding, there was a mixed reception to the new user interface, some lamenting the movement of the end turn button, complaining about the oversized minimap and that it didn't go far enough to clear up the clutter of our abilities in the hotbar. I find the new user interface is an improvement on the old one, but it does still get littered with abilities at times. Aside from this, I have no big complaints about it, and I've made frequent use of the new search bar in the inventory. One thing I would like to see brought back though is a way to see every tag that a character has, because it is and was useful to be able to look that up. Another addition to the game was a whole slew of new magic items to be discovered, many of which revolve around lightning charges, momentum and wrath. I think Hammerhraff deserves a shout out here, as being a Moor that, if used with invisibility, can kill just about any enemy in the game with no problem whatsoever. The new items do take a step away from the design of 5th edition by adding in some new conditions made for the game. Having been with Baldur's Gate 3 since its beginning, it's not been too hard to keep up with the increasing number of conditions. However, I can see that it could be off-putting for people jumping into the game for the first time or expecting a direct translation of 5th edition. I have no qualms about what the conditions are. I think I would learn how to use new conditions, whatever they are, but I also don't want the number of conditions to become bloated. There are many minor changes and fixes to the game, including music, animation, voiceover lines, cutscenes, and the room portal system. These are all welcome changes in my book, and I think it bodes well for the future of the game, as long as such improvements keep on coming. Now, looking forward to patch 8, it is probably a safe bet to say that we will get a new class, but I'm also anticipating changes we weren't perhaps expecting, such as the complete overhaul to the user interface we got in patch 7, or a change to a current system such as what happened with throwing. I do also want all the other things that have now been written and talked about endlessly, like level 5, multiclassing, reaction overhauls, etc, etc. I imagine that these will be dealt with in due course, although who knows exactly when they will be amended. If there are any Larian employees watching, my main gripe with the game is the camera. Trying to look up at a platform or ledge that is above a character is a right royal pain in the arse. For example, it is near impossible to teleport or jump up out of the spider pit in the Shattered Sanctum because the camera will not show the floor of Draw Ragslin's room. Also linked to the camera is the very restricted level of zoom and rotation about the Z axis. I have no idea if this is something that's changing or difficult to change, but this is one thing that I'm actually a bit worried about won't change in the future. Let me know how you feel about patch 7. What did you like? What do you think still needs to be improved a lot? Or was anything a step backwards in your mind? Thank you very much for watching. If you made it this far, please do consider subscribing, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.